when you see an injustice happening right in front of you, how do you expect people to react? Let's see. Really, this is the core part for me. Now, there's been a lot of articles written since, a lot of blog posts written about how Bernie Sanders supporters they just had sour grapes. They were just really upset because they couldn't get their way and they didn't win. And I think that's highly disingenuous when you see the video of the state chairwoman essentially ignoring the will of the convention. And instead of me describing it, I just simply want to play it. It's a little long. It's about 2 minutes long. So we're going to play it, and I want you to see it for yourself. In particular, I want you to look right around the moment where her assistant comes up and makes a recommendation. Immediately after that, she goes with a motion, and she takes the vote, a voice count, a voice vote, and the yays, they sound off. Along with the nays. And from that vantage point, from the vantage point of the video, it is very clear who won. And I'll let you be the judge. I won't tell you who. I want you to listen, and you'll be the judge. And so this, to me, out of all the videos, I think this one is the most important. So I want you to listen in.
The motion is this. I am asking you to have a recount. 9:30 was too soon for a preliminary vote. The petitions did not get to everyone. Everyone wanted to come in and get a seat or get their badge or get things at the different tables around and get their pins. But they didn't get the petitions, and that's what we need. You can't count petitions if nobody got to sign them.
Okay, we have 3 speakers for and 3 speakers against. I will call the question. It has been moved and seconded that the temporary convention rules be passed by the body. All those in favor say aye.
You saw what happened. And this is essentially the part that is the most damning, in my opinion. The reason it's damning is because it not only gives the appearance, but it actually is the chairwoman ignoring the will of the people. And in all of the explanations that I saw about this video, about how this was Bernie Sanders supporters just being having sour grapes, upset that they couldn't, upset that they didn't win or they didn't get their way. All of this, and the reality of it is that the reason they were the most upset, and the reason they had a justification for being upset, is because their will was ignored and usurped. And not only that, but Nevada went above and beyond to circumvent their own rules to do nothing else but give the appearance that they wanted to support Hillary Clinton. That's what it looked like to me. And you know, it's hard to deny that once you look at this video. When you look at this video, it clearly looks like they just ignored the will of the people. And that's why so many people are upset. That's why so many people are, that you saw the immediate reaction. So it has less and less to do with, the fact that Bernie Sanders didn't win, but more to do with how they won. Now, what I think is going to be worse, what I think is going to add insult to injury, is going to be the fact that people are playing them for dumb. The Democratic Party there is playing Bernie Sanders supporters for dumb, as though, and really the general population for dumb, as if we don't know what that looks like, as if we don't see for ourselves what happened. And I think what's going on is that they are adding insult to injury. They're clearly adding insult to injury, and if the results weren't bad enough to make Bernie Sanders supporters disillusioned, it's the insult on top of that that makes it that much worse. That's the problem. And I think that's ultimately what's going to come from this, is that people are going to be frustrated with how they were treated above and beyond the outcome, because it's one thing to lose, but it's another thing to lose with the appearance of impropriety and the feeling of disenfranchisement on top of everything else. And I think that's something that they're taking for granted. They are definitely taking this for granted. And in my opinion, it really looks like it's a scorched earth policy, that they don't really care how people feel about what's being done to them. And that is extremely dangerous. That is dangerous enough to make people, there's a lot of people who are just downright frustrated about this, downright angry, and rightfully so. And I think the Democratic Party has seriously underestimated how this affects people and how they're going to respond. That's it. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. There's really sincerely no other way to put it other than the sleight of hand and the simple dismissal of common sense, playing everyone as if you're just being spoiled, when everyone had access to see the same video and everyone that was there experienced it in real time. That's what's most frustrating about this. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what happened in Nevada. We'll be joined by Dan Rowe. Dan Rowe has a video on YouTube, and it's a very succinct account. And I think this is something else. I think people completely invalidate your opinion once they realize you support somebody, right? As though you're not capable of having an unbiased opinion and an objective, right? Even if it's biased, you still have the ability to be objective. And they dismiss your opinion once they realize, oh, you're a Bernie Sanders supporter. And to be fair, we do that with other people as well. But he has a very clear and succinct evaluation of what happened. And I want to bring him on to talk about it. But the other thing that I really want to talk about is the response from the Nevada Democratic Party. They made a post this afternoon on medium.com, and there are a lot of people who are responding to it. And if you go to medium.com and take a look and read this article, you'll realize how ridiculously obvious it is that they are leaving out the points that people are really upset about. That's what it is. That's why people are upset, because they're just blanket disregarding this segment, this video that I played for you. They're talking about their rules. They're talking about Hillary Clinton having more delegates seated there. They're talking about all the things that really make their case, but they're leaving out the glaringly obvious reason that people were so upset. And so they're giving the appearance that people were only upset because they did not win, when in reality people were upset because of how the state party changed their rules without even the consensus of the people that were there to vote on the rules. And so by them doing that, and it wasn't just the Nevada Democratic Party, you had a lot of commentators, a lot of journalists who helped co-sign on that narrative by writing their piece saying that it simply was a case of sour grapes, was what one article said. Really minimizing the reality that people are not blind, that people are not, people are very capable of seeing for themselves. People are very capable of seeing the injustice. And I use that word not casually. I use that word very specifically because when you see an injustice happening right in front of you, how do you expect people to react? And here's the bigger thing for me. It's very possible that Hillary Clinton was going to win that third tier anyway. And we'll talk about the tiers in a minute when Dan comes on. It's very possible that Hillary Clinton could have won that anyway. And so, yes, she won the vote on the caucus night, on the original election night. Yes, she did. Bernie Sanders got it on because of Clark County. Everybody remembers how delegates turned. Delegates didn't show up. Bernie Sanders won the second tier. But it was still very likely that Hillary Clinton could have won the third tier without the shenanigans, yet they decided to ignore their own rules, ignore tier 1, 2, and 3, ignore their own well-established rules, as well as ignore their rules for making a motion and passing something from the floor. They ignored it all. And that's why people are upset, because it's very possible they could have won without it. That is what is so disgusting about this.